Let us come together in the spirit of worship. We'll begin this service with the prelude.
Good morning. A tradition has grown in this church that a Sunday morning in the spring is entrusted to the youth of this congregation. This morning we celebrate the rite of passage, our 2015 Coming of Age class. We are the Coming of Age class, and we welcome you to this service.
Our words this morning come from Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I wonder if I've been changed in the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I almost think I can remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not the same, the next question is, who in the world am I? Ah, that's the great puzzle. Please stand as you are able and join in our opening hymn this morning, number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Please remain standing and join with me in the responsive affirmation printed in your order of service. I will read the plain text and you will read the italics. All right. Whosoever wishes to know about the world must learn about it in its particular details.
Knowledge is not intelligence.
In searching for the truth, be ready for the unexpected.
Change alone is unchanging.
The same road goes both up and down.
The beginning of a circle is also its end.
Not I, but the world says it. All is one.
And yet everything comes in season.
Please be seated. Good morning. First, our deep thanks to Sue Spaven for stepping in for our pianist. He's ill this morning. We have Sue, thankfully. You have decided to join us on a very wonderful day. All are welcome here. On the red welcome wall, you can find welcomes expressed in many languages, most of them spoken here in New Mexico, and also Jambo, which is Swahili for welcome. We have a sister church in Kenya. There's also below that table a welcome table, and there are friendly folks there who know this church well and can answer any question you might have, and they can direct you to other tables and displays. We hold a coffee hour in the social hall between the services, and there you'll find refreshments and opportunities for good conversations. I've shared with First Service, and you may have heard this, but when I first began coming to this church, I didn't do social hour. Couldn't do it. I'm not a shy person. Didn't think I was shy. I just couldn't do coffee hour. So I'd come to church, listen attentively, sing songs, and then shake the minister's hand and go to my car. It wasn't until I'd been actually a member and then on a committee that I felt, oh, I need to go in there. So if you're brave and bold and you're a newcomer or a visitor, take a yellow cup or mug for your beverage, and then we, old-timers, can say, oh, why, there's a visitor. And our welcome will be heartfelt and not too intrusive. We are friendly. So your beverage will help let us spot you, and we can go find you. And as much as we do like greeting our visitors, and we do, we don't like the sound of a ringing cell phone. So if you brought something that's gonna beep or chime or bells will peal, there, you hear that going off right now? Thank you. Thank you so much. We do recycle our order of service, and if you won't be needing it during the week with the announcements that are in there, baskets are at the back, and you can recycle those by putting them in the basket, and the church will take care of it. Thank you.
Shel Silverstein wrote, "There's a voice inside of you that whispers all day long. I feel that this is right for me. I know that this is wrong. No teacher, preacher, parent, friend, or wise man can decide. What's right for you, just listen to the voice that speaks inside." We will now take the offering.
offering baskets continue to make their way around the room, we'll allow the offering to finish, but meanwhile, we'll say our words of blessing for it. So what is generously given is received with gratitude. And thank you on behalf of this congregation and on behalf of Paws and Stripes, which receives the collection of coins. If you are here for the first or second time this morning and you feel comfortable, would you either stand or raise your hand so we can welcome you with applause? First or second time visitors, do we have any today? Okay, there we go. Welcome. And now we invite you to turn and greet your neighbor with the peace of the morning, especially any new visitors. Now I invite you into our time of meditation and prayer. Our meditation song in a few minutes will be number 123 in your hymnal, that's Spirit of Life, if you'd like to mark the page. 123. And then go ahead and set that hymnal aside. And I invite you to begin by noticing your feet. We're going to work from the bottom up today. Notice your feet touching the ground. Take a deep breath. Turn your attention to your neglected muscles in your toes. Are they holding any tension? See if you can relax them. And your feet. And notice your ankles and your shins. And see if you can breathe, letting out some tension on the out-breath. Notice the muscles in your knees and your upper legs. And breathe out any tension that may be there. Working your way up, pay attention to your stomach, your chest. Feel the rhythm of your lungs expanding and contracting. And breathe out tension. And breathe in the peace of this place. Observe the muscles in your shoulders, your neck, your back. If there's any tension that won't melt away on your out-breath, just observe it. And now let's see if you can relax your mind, releasing any tension or stress, or simply observing it. As we continue in silence. Continuing on in this peaceful spirit, let us lift up the prayers of our community. This morning we lift up Nina Hanks, whose brother has died, and David DeLau, whose father has just passed away. We hold Judy Bentley in our heart as her mother, Victoria Patricia Bentley, goes on to hospice. And we lift up David Gick, who has been suffering from some chronic health problems. I invite you to say aloud the names in your heart as the chime rings so we can hold them with you. All these we lift up to the powers of healing and renewal, known by many names, and we remember the unspoken prayers. We call ourselves into the presence of the power of nature this morning, calling our attention to the rain that washes us and gives us new life, and noting also the shadow side of nature, its earthquakes that destroy, and we pray for the people of Nepal. We give thanks for those who are coming of age, the youth among us who are the future and the present, who carry forward the spark of our community and our free faith, who explode with excitement and erupt with ideas and live into their calling. May we bless them as they bless us. May we realize that all of us are constantly unfolding. May we let the mystery guide us into new ways of living. May we all feed that growing appetite for wonder and becoming. Amen. Peace be with you.
Our first reading is by Hannah Wells and comes from a coming-of-age treasury of poems, quotations, and readings on growing up. Do you remember that moment in your early teens when the adults whom you grew up around really saw that glimmer of what was to come? Or when you did something that impressed the adults and I gave you the first taste of what it feels like to be acknowledged as a person regardless of your age? This is a moment of coming of age, when you become aware of the extent of your own worth and dignity as a human being by way of the world is simply noticing you. Coming of age is part of coming to your full humanity of claiming our promise.
Our next reading is from Doctor Who. When you're a kid, they tell you it's all grow up, get a job, get married, get a house, have a kid, and that's it. But the truth is, the world is so much stranger than that. It's so much darker, and so much madder, and so much better.
Our last reading is from Moving Pictures by Terry Pratchett. The whole of life is just like watching a film. Only it's as though you always get 10 minutes in after the big picture is started, and no one will tell you the plot, so you have to work it all out yourself from the clues.
The 2015 Coming of Age class at First Unitarian consists of the 13 youth you've met today. For the past few months, we've been exploring the nature of beliefs, values, and the way we live. Instead of telling our youth what to believe, we work with them to give them the opportunity to discover and share what they believe to be true. Our goal has simply been for each of these youth to make their choice of a spiritual life a deliberate and considered one.
Among our 7 principles, the one at the very center is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate that search, that quest, which evolves and grows throughout our lives. We make space for articulating with one another where the path has taken us so far, where we stand, in what direction we gaze, what is meaningful, and what seems true. We welcome this year's Coming of Age class into the privileges and responsibilities of being adult Unitarian Universalists.
We have asked them, in turn, to take up the path of a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and to show us the evidence that they have done so. They speak this morning of what to them seems true, what to them is meaningful.
Goes to LBJ. My name's Rex, and I go to Tierra Adentro. I do not believe in a God. With me, everything needs to be scientifically proven, and no one has scientifically proven that there's a God. I know I'm open to what every religion has to say, and I really enjoy the interesting conversations I have with people who have different views. What I do believe in is that the world is full of second chances. If you go after what you need and not what you want. I believe this because I've seen it happen, which is the next best thing to being scientifically proven. When I was younger, my dad had a problem that only he could fix. It took him some time to realize that he was the only one who could fix it. And after a time, he did. He had a problem with alcohol. At the time, I had to live with it. He drove around with me when he was drunk. And that's why my mom left with me when I was, roughly speaking, 6. She left because she wanted me to have a life that wasn't dysfunctional. Now, he hasn't drank in 6 years. Quitting drinking was very hard work for my dad, and he feels bad about what he did. Right now, my dad is happy, and he's a whole lot nicer. And he has taken his second chance at life. I believe in second chances not because a God tells me, but because I've seen it. I don't need a Bible to tell me what's the right thing to do. If I see it works, I just do it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Emma Kokendorfer, and I go to Cottonwood Classical. I am many things. I am a student, a friend, a daughter, a sister. I guess you could also call me a Unitarian Universalist Christian. This can mean many different things to many different people. Some people think that if someone believes in a God or a greater being, they see the world differently, that they don't see things as they really are, that because everything happens for some foreseen reason, that it's all going to be okay, and that it's sugar-coated. This is not the case. I believe in God. Maybe not an old white man up in heaven, but some sort of a greater being. This does not mean that I do not feel as deeply as, say, an atheist. I still feel pain and happiness and embarrassment just as much as the next person. I see God as more of a friend than someone great deity, as someone I can talk to when there's no one left to hear me. When I'm sad, frustrated, or alone, there's someone or something that I can turn to. This has been very important to me recently, as my biggest confidant has moved away. This has left me feeling not necessarily sad, but more lost. After she left, I felt free, but with freedom also comes confusion. Who was I supposed to talk to now? As I stumbled through those first few weeks, I realized that I needed to talk to someone, even if no one was going to listen. That was when I started feeling less alone. In those next few months, I started building out my trust in God. I also found myself talking to someone, not necessarily God, but a friend. And I also started talking to more people at school that I hadn't necessarily talked to before. This was a welcome relief. I also started talking more freely in and about church and what I believed. This change had been set in motion about a year ago. Brian Elwood, our prior ministerial intern, gave one of his first sermons on what UU Christianity was and how it fits into the religion. This sermon gave me the confidence to alter my previous atheist views on what I believe. 1 year later, I think I have it kind of figured out. Kind of. I believe in God, but not the same way many Christians do. I am reading the Bible only because I heard it was a good story. I believe we make our own destinies, but the choices have already been laid out for us. I'm a UU Christian. I found it hard to admit it here in a congregation so full of atheists, but I have also finally found a place where I feel I truly belong. Thank you.
My name is Nathan King. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. At least, that's the idea. Our minds may know this fact, but it does not accept it. I believe that I fear many more things than just fear. I fear spiders, I fear the apocalypse, and I fear many more things. I used to fear many more things. I used to fear the dark. I do not fear these things anymore because I have accepted that I fear them, and I've used skills that I've learned in life to combat these fears. Some of my fears were unrealistic, and there was little chance of them actually happening. Some of these fears were materialized by fiction, things like Jurassic Park and horror movies. To get rid of these fears, I used common sense, saying these things are not real. It probably not happened to me. When I was little, like 7 or 8, my big brother, Alex, would tell me stories. These stories would terrorize me at night, and I would think about aliens and rabid sheep. It scared me a lot, but then I looked at the facts. 1, are there any sheep in my house? No. And 2, do we know that aliens exist? No. So I used these facts to get rid of the fears he told me of. Another time, more recent, I was in Portland or Chicago, but I'd purchased a deck of cards. As I was exiting the store, I tripped and dropped the cards. The porch had big gaps between the wooden planks, and most of the cards fell through. There was a place to get under the porch, so I went under and collected the cards. As I was doing this, I was aware of dozens of spiders lining the porch. This amazed me that I was able to go where all the spiders were and survive. These 2 times are of many times that I've had to face my fears. Here, in New Mexico, in my house, I was climbing up to my bunk bed, and I look up as I near the top. There was a huge spider that practically blended in with the ceiling. I was so scared that I fell off the bed and ran out the door. I was scared. That's why I haven't gotten over my fear of spiders. Another time, I was at my house, and my mother wanted me to go to a tournament for this game I play called Magic: The Gathering. I didn't want to because me not wanting to interact with people and I was antisocial. I then went once. I've been going ever since. I have made friends there and I feel comfortable with them. Overall, I've faced many things in my life, but I've worked my way out of most of them. I feel accomplished when I get over these fears. Now I have less to fear. Remember, you have nothing to fear but fear itself.
My name is Marion, and I go to Cottonwood Classical. I believe finding yourself takes your whole life. In the beginning, we were babies learning about life from our parents. Then from the person who cares for us, we start becoming something that has feelings, thoughts, emotions, and ideas. Now let's take a walk down memory lane. I want you to think about how you were in elementary school. Are you still the exact same person as you then are you as now? I sometimes find it hard to find myself, whether it's from my parents asking what I think my future looks like, or my teachers trying to prep us for our future. Right now, I have no idea what I want to be, none whatsoever. I have made so many mistakes, but it's normal. These mistakes are what shape us. From these mistakes, I would usually never do it again. As my mom told me, I always have to go head first into something, get in trouble, and then learn the lesson. There's no denying that in life you're going to have to make choices. I'm sure that you've all had the lecture on peer pressure countless times. Peer pressure is like a dog, continuing to follow you around. It gets harder to avoid as you leave the wing of your parents. Don't feel obligated to do things you don't want to do because all the cool kids are doing it. Do what you want to do and what you think is best for you. So what if your friends don't think getting good grades is cool? A true friend would always support you and be there for you no matter what. Also, follow your dreams and discover your own passion. Do not do something just because your friend told you it was fun or your parents think it's the best for you. But rather do it because you want it, because doing your own thing is what brings you happiness. Growing up is a long process. but this is the stage where you learn your purpose in this world. As Dory always said, just keep swimming.
I'm Owen, and I go to a school that exists. Some people in today's society, and many others in the past, have had trouble distinguishing from the things that they want to the things that they need. Some people will really, really want something, and even sometimes think that they need it. Actually, however, they do not need it a majority of the time. Something that a person would need would be food and water. Without food and water, a person would die. Without water, a person would last for up to 8 days, and without food, up to 3 weeks. With something a person wants, a personal example being games for my computer, you could last an eternity, well until you die, without owning it. People in today's society, some, not all, should realize that there is a difference to what a person needs and wants. Another factor that can tie into wanting and needing is greed. With greed, a person can want everything and think they need it, and if they do not get it, that they would die or something like that. The ignorant mind, with its infinite afflictions, passions, and evils, is rooted in the 3 poisons, greed, anger, and delusion, Bodhidharma. This quote shows how people are being ignorant to the fact that they do not need everything they want. In fact, they don't need anything they want. I myself have been a victim of this ignorant thinking process. I can sometimes not distinguish what I need and what I want. One of these instances is when I was a younger human being around the age of 9. There was a card game I had got into. This was after my obsession with Pokemon. This card game was called Magic the Gathering. I have then learned that it would be an expensive hobby in both time and money because it takes time to build decks and money to get cards. Whenever my parents would go to the store where they sell Magic cards, and I went with them, I would always try to convince them to get me a booster pack of Magic cards. They would usually say no. Sometimes even my mother would say that I do not need these cards, and that I should spend my money on things like food and water that I actually need. Usually when I ask for something vital for survival, like food or water or Wi-Fi, just joking about the Wi-Fi, they will give it to me. They will give it to me if they can, but if it is something that I want, they will make me wait a day before I get it. These 24 hours are to make me think if I really want to get this item. If a person has the ability to distinguish the difference between what they need and what they want, it would help people in their lives with money.
Hi, my name is Bridget, and I go to the Montessori Middle School. I like the idea of Hogwarts. I like the idea of the Doctor. I like the idea of shadow hunters and cyborgs. I like the idea of heaven. I like the idea of God. I like the idea of being reincarnated and living multiple awesome lives. I like the idea of a lot of things, but I don't believe in any of them. The definition of God is a very loose idea. God, the creator and ruler of the universe and source of all moral authority, the supreme being. Everybody has a different concept of who this figure is and what they do. For me, that I think the universe began when a tiny little point inflated and expanded, creating a semi-large bang that may or may not have created the life, universe, and everything we know to be true. And for me, there's no room in my mind to think about there being an invisible friend that watches over me and created everything. The thing is, some of these ideas are super cool and really intriguing to think about. As I mentioned, I like the idea of reincarnation. You live once, then use the wisdom collected to help you in the next life. You spend eternity building up wisdom and learning. I also like the idea of heaven. Everybody likes the idea of a perfect place where you are happy and you can relax after a long, hard life of work. It's great. I guess for me, it's a cool idea that I wish was true, but I know deep down it's not, like Hogwarts. I like the idea of religion without burden. I like the idea of religion without boundaries. I like the idea of religion adapted to individuals. I like the idea of understanding and realization. I like the idea of happiness. I like the idea of individuality. I like the idea of heaven, hell, God, living again, a very good man, a perfect world. I like the idea of everyone thinking for themselves and agreeing with others who think the same way. I like the idea of respect for one another. At this point in my life, I cannot give you a straight answer as to what I believe. I will always love learning about different ideas. The point of my random jumble of thoughts was to explain that although I do not have any solid beliefs, I do like the idea of a lot of things, and someday I might find something to believe in.
Change and growth surround us always. If we aren't paying attention, we may fail to grieve losses or celebrate emergent beauty. This morning, we pause to recognize that a great transition is taking place in the lives of these youth and in the lives of everyone who cares for them. There are many significant moments in growing up, times when our children are less like children, and it is clear that they are becoming adults. As a congregation, it is important for us to recognize these moments as well. We watch these children grow before our eyes. We see them playing in the courtyard at coffee hour and teach them in the religious education classes. Before we know it, they are worshiping beside us and serving on committees with us. They are no longer the future of the congregation. They are our peers.
We reflect on these words from Khalil Gibran. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite and bends you with might, that the arrows might go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness.
Please stand as you are able and join us in the responsive reading printed in your order of service. Once you held my hand and guided me across the street. Once you held me in your lap and read to me. Once you gave me food and shelter, worried over me, and kept me safe. Once you were the center of my life, everything I had came from you. Please be seated.
As a token of congratulations on completing the coming of age class and a recognition that you are now viewed as adults within this church, we have some gifts for you. First is a poster of the principles of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And second, we have for each of you a chalice pendant. This day, you begin your life as an of-age Unitarian Universalist. This pendant celebrates your new status and privileges and responsibilities. Starting this day and for the next several years, La McCoy welcomes and cherishes your participation. Starting this day and forever afterward, full membership in this congregation is open to you, should you choose it, with the opportunity to make a pledge, serve on committees like the amazing RE Council, carrying out the work of Unitarian Universalism, and vote at congregational meetings on the policies by which this faith community governs itself. Wherever life's road may take you, however far your travels go, you are one of us. Wherever in this world there is a Unitarian Universalist congregation, there you may go and be among your own. We will always be glad to see you and always happy to welcome you home.
Thank you for joining us in our coming of age ceremony and welcoming us to the next stages of our lives. We close with these words again from Doctor Who. Times change and so must I. We all change. When you think about it, we're all different people through our lives, and that's okay. That's good. Gotta keep moving, so long as you remember all the people that you used to be.
Please stand as you are able and join us in the closing hymn, number 23, Bring Many Names.
Go in peace, and may love bless you and keep you through all that is the journey of your lives. Amen.